Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class Podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm Travis.
And I'm George. We should do that over, but Travis introduced as Arnold.
You want to do that as Arnold?
I don't do good cold readings.
So,
Come on, do it.
For our new listeners, George ain't seen any movies. And so we are fixing him week by week, educating him, if you will, in the magic of cinema. And what a movie we had from this week. We watched the 1994 prestige action classic, True Lies. George, how you doing, man?
Pretty good, man.
Travis, how you holding up?
I'm not too bad. I'm doing good. Feeling good, Lewis.
Yeah, I appreciate you standing by your guns and not doing an Arnold impression.
Yeah.
But then throwing in a feeling good Lewis just to remind us that you can be a one-trick pony if needed.
Yes, I am.
That's range, baby. That's range.
I speak fluent movie quotes. So we'll get the Arnold in there.
Yeah, that's what she said.
So, George, we didn't tell you anything about True Lies. Were you successful in making it into the beginning of the movie before you realized Arnold was back?
No.
He's on the DVD. Did Meg put it on, or did you put it on?
No, I forgot to have Meg do
Okay,
it.
so he saw it.
I opened up the case and I'm like, oh,
His mug's right there on the DVD.
look at that.
Not formatted for our TV show.
I was like,
or a
oh,
radio
hey.
show. Oh, hey.
Well, in lieu
How are
of
you?
George being surprised at the presence of Arnold, I, Dan, have never seen this movie until recently, watching it for the show. And so I knew Arnold was in it, right? Because I'd seen Arnold in a Harrier downtown on all the commercials for the past 30 years. But
Yes.
I was not aware that Tia Carrere was in this movie. And boys,
Ooh.
zang.
I was not aware you never saw this, so I didn't know that was going to be a surprise for you.
Yeah,
Very
no,
nice.
I'd never seen the movie. And so, yeah, Wayne's World Party Time, excellent.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what, 5 years after that?
It's like 2 years after that. This is like probably right after Wayne's World 2. Wayne's World 92. Yeah. Wayne's World 92, Wayne's World 2 93, and this in 94. Guys,
Beauteous.
prime Tia Carrere movie.
Yes.
But oddly enough, this movie is super difficult to find in the modern era. Like,
Yes.
when George says he saw the DVD, he means the digital versatile disc from 1999.
The disc. It was tactile.
Yeah, there's no Blu-ray. There's nothing out there.
This thing is not streaming. I watched it on a Blu-ray I bought on Amazon, which is a Spanish import, and very clearly just the DVD upscaled onto a Blu-ray. Like, it looked like hot garbage. Stick with your regular DVDs if you have them. But yeah, no US Blu-ray release, no streaming release. Interesting, because we've touched on it before, because we've been trying to watch this movie for like 3 months and we just couldn't get it all nailed down. We finally got our physical media straightened out and we're good to go.
Right.
The question of why this movie and The Abyss are not streaming, despite being James Cameron, despite being kind of prestige releases for him, there's a lot of debate as to whether he's not happy with the visual effects. I'm sure we'll talk about those as the debate goes on. There's also some content concerns with this particular movie that I'm sure we'll touch on. Really interesting for me as a first-time viewer to go deep into this movie the first time. Boys, what is this movie?
It's a good popcorn movie.
Is it satire?
Not well. It's. I believe it's an homage to James Bond movies. Less about satire, more of an homage. It's 94, so yeah, you get the literal terrorism that is now like kind of. We joked about it during Die Hard because we were like, why are these German guys like? It was almost like unheard of that they were in there, and we were talking about how they never really explained why these guys are terrorists. They're basically just bank robbers, but they were calling them terrorists.
Yeah.
This movie's almost a stereotypical version of that fear.
Yeah.
The World Trade Center was bombed in 93.
Right.
And I believe there were a few plane incidents in like late 90s or early 90s. So it was like fresh in people's minds. So we didn't look at it as how it would be looked at today. Which if I'd have known Dan hadn't seen this, I would have 100% put my thumb on the fact that he was going to see that and go, oh yeah.
See, and I don't. That wasn't even what I was referring to.
you're
So
not.
I think it's going to be an interesting discussion. But let's start with George because he is our movie virgin. For those new to the show, George, you've seen True Lies, you've seen Die Hard, you've seen First Blood. What are you feeling with True Lies? I mean, is this satire question is a great throwback to an earlier episode, but really, what do you think? True Lies.
I don't know, man. Out of 5, 3.5. Like,
That's not bad.
yeah. I mean,
You didn't eject it straight into the garbage can. That's good.
no, I didn't. It was. I mean, if you can get past the corniness of some of the things, and just and appreciate that, what they're trying to do is mesh serious hostage situations with humor,
right?
And if you can get down with that, then cool. I felt like it was kind of a little all over the place, and it needed to pick what it wanted to be.
Okay.
Jamie Lee Curtis,
Which is why we watched it.
great.
And it's why
Always
we were
love
going to
her.
watch it during your Jamie Lee Christmas run back last fall when we watched a ton of her movies. This
Yeah,
was
we
going to be like
definitely
the crowning achievement. And then we
This was the
Definitely-
final movie.
Definitely should. We definitely should have watched this before Fish Called Wanda.
Okay.
Or no.
I don't know.
No. What was the one?
Road Games?
Don't be
That
talking
was her
about road games.
early
No,
stuff. That was
not
her
Road
early
Games.
stuff.
Don't be talking about
watched
Trading Places. Trading
We
Places.
watched Trading Places. We watched The Fog. We watched Road Games. Fish Called
I
Wanda.
think it was Trading Places.
Okay.
Anyways.
But
That's where I would have put it right
the
before.
fact that you saw her in Trading Places and then you see her in this, it makes that dance scene a lot better. Knowing that it's been almost 20-something years since she showed off.
a
and she
solid
looks
10
amazing
years.
still.
I don't know if,
When did that was like 83, wasn't it?
and this was like 94. So that's like a solid,
okay, yeah, 10
solid
years.
10 years.
Okay.
10 years.
30 years later.
She looked
I'm sorry. I'm
great,
thinking
bro.
now. I'm thinking today. If you watched it today,
Yeah, Halloween Ends is going to go a way different direction this fall.
yeah, she's gonna do the dance on Michael.
Oh, no.
Do
Uh,
it slowly.
And that is why
Oh,
she's never
no.
going to come on our show.
She might. She's good fun. She's a lot of fun. She's like Carrie Fisher.
She's fantastic.
she joins in
I
on the
love
fun.
her. I don't know what it is.
Can we get Carrie Fisher on soon? That'd be great.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Worth
we
a
could
shot.
try.
Worth a shot.
Why don't we add her?
So this movie starts out, right? And Arnold is in like an underwater pool, but like a bay that like looks like a swimming pool that butts right up against a mansion. And he comes out in his little wetsuit over his tuxedo, and he takes his night vision off and his respirator and just like leaves it in the water.
Right.
And I was just like, oh, we're doing this kind of movie.
Yes. You know that as soon as he's completely dry, when he takes his wetsuit off
Yeah.
and he looks like he's ready to go to a party.
There's a tuxedo underneath.
party.
You're like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, and then
That's when you know.
he's
Yeah.
like obviously like a spy, right? He's got the James Bond outfit. And I don't think this movie at any time actually shows any spycraft or intelligence gathering or anything of the sort. Like it stays so far out of the weeds that it like forgot to put the weeds in the picture.
Well, they had their one guy, the hacker guy. He's kind of the intel collector.
Yeah, he gave
But
some
they're
like
not doing it.
interesting like background on the oh, that lady knows about Persia. You should talk about Persia.
Yeah.
But like really, definitely not the thing this movie is going for is realistic like spycraft.
Right.
It is just here to make you laugh and to make you enjoy polished camera work and action set pieces. And so as soon as he left his stuff in the water and didn't even bother to take his equipment with him, I was like, oh, okay. Brain clicked off and we're good.
Yeah.
2
That's how
hours
I
and
felt too.
20
No,
minutes
it's just-
later, it was over.
It's just a popcorn movie.
And it was fun.
It's not Avatar.
Ugh.
I don't. No, thank God it's not Avatar.
Yeah, thank you, Avatar.
To me,
for-
it's like to me it's a love letter. It's Cameron's love letter. And it's done in a Cameron way. So it's like he's giving back. He's finally, this is probably the movie he wanted to make in 1984 when he made Terminator, but he didn't have the connections and the budget and the this and the that, so then he makes a small little art film with one little robot, and that's it. Now he's got money, now he's got a name, now he's
this is his Jurassic Park.
This is his Jurassic Park, and Terminator was his Westworld.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, we sometimes forget that George is new to the world of cinema. George, you know who James Cameron is, right?
Yeah, he's a director.
And he's made Terminator, Terminator 2, Titanic,
Aliens, The Abyss,
an Avatar.
Titanic's his biggest.
So
Titanic, I didn't know
movie.
that was him.
Yeah.
So he's a big time. I mean, he's on the same level as a Spielberg or directly below a Spielberg. You know, depending on your debate.
Yeah, no, I 100% recognize his name. I recognize.
So to follow up a movie like Terminator 2,
2,
which you've seen Terminator 2, right?
No.
Oh
No, he hasn't.
Well, put that in our pile of movies to make him watch later. But serious action movies. And then to make this, like, he's not doing this by accident. Like, dude clearly knows we're making a farce, but everything's going to be fun and stuff's going to explode. So as long as you're aware of that, I think if you didn't know that, if you were like, who is this James Cameron guy? Oh, he made Avatar and this is his action movie. I think you would see this differently than knowing like, oh, this guy makes great action movies and now he's doing a fun one.
This is his top secret. His hot shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny.
Yeah, I didn't really have that background about, James Cameron or whatever, but just watching the movie, like you said, Dan, like you figure out right away that like, all the bad guys have really poor aim, and the good guy never gets.
No, everything's a headshot. It's almost like a living video game. This movie.
Yeah,
it's like a first person shoot 'em up.
Well, and the thing is, this is pre-first person shooters. I was thinking this while I was watching the movie, how interesting it is to watch this movie in particular, and how it is visually influenced by video games, but we're talking about like the late 80s, early 90s arcade games, where these levels change and suddenly you're fighting on top of a spaceship. And now you're fighting on the street level. And now you're both on top of cars as they drive by each other. Like, it's very much of that era, digital entertainment influenced. And so when they start fighting on top of, spoiler alert, a Harrier downtown, you're just like, oh yeah, this totally feels like, bad dudes.
And he's doing it one-handed.
Yeah, that's what she said.
But it kind of has a feel of like GoldenEye too, because for me, the Bond feel of the opening. It doesn't really go Bond anywhere after the opening, but this just the ridiculous ski guys, snowmobiles through the woods. Arnold just running Harrison Ford style down the hill, and it's basically Indiana Jones on steroids, and everybody's coming down that hill on skis.
It's exactly like that. It's the I forget what they're called, but they're like Siberian guards, I think, in 007.
Yeah,
that's what they look like.
Yeah, and he takes every one of them out. Like, it's almost, I was waiting for him to
Could
like
you lean
shoot
back a little.
Yeah, just lean back. There's a scene. Ryan Reynolds plays Deadpool in the Wolverine Origins movie a long time ago, like before Deadpool was Deadpool on film. It was a terrible version of Deadpool, but when he played Wade Wilson before he put on the gear, someone shoots at him and he takes his katana and he cuts the bullet in half as it's coming at him, and it goes in both directions and hits the two guys to his right and his left.
Yeah,
that's what this movie is. Like, it's just like, okay, if that happens in the beginning of the movie, then you know what you're in for. You just know. And that's, to me, this movie has always been that. I was never, like, Gabe got mad at me because I said, oh, it's the greatest movie you'll ever watch. And then when we were done, he's like, that was not the greatest movie.
No, it's not the greatest movie, no.
And I'm like, well, for me, it is. When it came out, it was the greatest movie at the time. And it still holds up, but it's holds up if you watch it for the right reason.
Yeah,
if you're
it's-
watching it for like, if we're trying to be like, well, that
No,
shot was,
If you're being
Yeah.
a film critic,
it's not for
a
you.
true critical viewer, no, it's not good.
Right.
But I mean, but we're not. Like,
No.
if you're watching this for fun and you're watching it for the people that are in it and you're watching it for the history of James Cameron or whatever,
Right. It's a must see.
It's fun.
And everybody in it is acting their asses off,
Yeah.
but with their tongue firmly pressed into their cheek.
Yes.
Like, Bill Paxton should have got an Oscar for this movie.
Oh my God, Bill Paxton in this movie.
Brilliant. And I know you're going to say love him or hate him. I think I can't stand Tom Arnold sometimes, but this movie and 9 Months have always been my favorite Tom Arnold characters. But he's kind of like Will Ferrell, where if he's in it too much, you're almost like, oh yeah, no.
Now,
I
let's
can't
go
take
back to Bill Paxton real quick. George,
Okay.
are you familiar with Bill Paxton?
I'm looking him up on
He's
IMDb
Googling
right
Oh
now.
my
IMDb
God.
him.
I'm asking this with a laughing smile on my face because I know you're not going to remember.
I
Like,
recognize him.
Shit.
Is he?
Yes, he is. That's like saying, is that my uncle? You've
Mm.
seen him in everything. He was in your prom video. Oh, wait, you didn't go to prom. Scratch that. Reverse it.
Game
He's in
over,
everything.
man. Now what are we going to do?
Well, I don't know if George
Oh,
actually
yeah, I know
sat and
Game
watched
Over, man.
Aliens. I think
No, I
he
have.
just-
It was a long time ago, but yeah, game over, man.
Yeah.
Game over. Yeah.
Well, and on this show, we know him specifically as Chet, the brother
Chet
in Weird
from
Science.
Weird Science.
Oh, okay.
You're stupid, Budwad. Hello, girls.
So good. He was just the perfect amount of like, the chicken shit heel. Like if you're
Yeah.
a wrestling fan,
Yes.
Seth Rollins for years was the best heel in wrestling because he would
Mm-hmm.
talk the talk and he'd get right to the point where he had to defend himself and then he would run away and you're just like, oh, he did it
Yeah.
again. That
Rowdy
son
Roddy
of a
Piper.
bitch.
He's Piper in this movie.
Yeah, so good.
He's got the mic and he's running his mouth, but then eventually he pees himself.
Yeah, so good. So good. I don't know. Tom Arnold is complex for me because I am a child of the 90s. So my lens for Tom Arnold is he was married to Roseanne.
Right.
And when he and Roseanne broke up, I feel like the coverage at the time, again, who cares? Because I'm like 12 at the time or whatever, 10. When they broke up, the media picked Roseanne. And Tom
Right.
Arnold was the no talent hack that married Roseanne. And then I think lately, as we've learned more about Roseanne, maybe we picked the wrong one as a society.
I think they're both they both being older when all that was going on, they both kind of were Madonna. They were just all press is good press kind of people, and they just do what they do, and they were that way. Like Tom Arnold was always going on to Stern and trashing her, and then she was going on the Stern and trashing him. And, it was the environment, and I think they're both made for each other. But I do think he is not a talentless hack. I think he's very funny when given the correct role.
Some of his lines in this movie are fantastic.
Yes.
And I should have made like a Venn diagram of worked, didn't worked, and sort of worked.
Can I find the one that worked? Because it's my favorite quote in the movie.
Oh, God, but don't be one of the bad ones. Go ahead.
I came home and everything was gone. Even the ice cube trays.
Yeah, the ice cube trays.
What kind of a sick bitch takes the ice cube trays? That's my favorite line in the whole movie when he says that, because it's like his delivery, he commits to it, and for once, Arnold, many times in this movie, is the straight man
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of the one-liners, which is usually his forte. That's like when he does, can you back up a little?
Yeah.
Or, sorry.
Sorry.
Or when he's yelling at the horse. The funniest scene is when he's like, what's the matter with you? And the horse is just looking at him. He's like, you can make that jump. And he's like talking to this horse. It's almost like a Tom Hanks moment in Castaway. He's acting to this horse, which is weird for Arnold. Like, he actually does some acting in this movie. We talk about it in Total Recall, where he plays the persona, where we're like, oh my God, Arnold's actually acting.
Mm-hmm.
In this movie, he's kind of toning himself down a lot. And he's kind of making the decision. I don't know if it's Jim Cameron saying, we want you to be, pull it back and be the comedic role in this movie. It's not Kindergarten Cop where every single line is his and on point and kills.
Yeah, I mean, just watching him, walking up on his wife as she takes the call from Simon and not saying a word, but he's acting through the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's not typical Arnold acting, right?
No. But when he comes outside,
he's usually delivering some corny line. Yep. That whole scene was like, never seen him act like that before.
And he's walking across the street like he had just killed his own
like
dog.
Like a sad puppy.
And Tom Arnold's like walking him. Oh, is that it? And he gives him a hug. Like he's the one who's the comedic part of that scene. Welcome to the club.
It's your first time.
But when he yells at him, stop cheering me up. And he breaks the window and he's like, oh, okay, here's the peach. Like you can kill me in a second. So
when he breaks the window and it's just like
just punches the window. But just all those little subtle things. The walking the dog. When Arnold's walking the dog to go get the purse back after they bug the purse. And he hears a 6'3" muscle-bound guy walking this little chihuahua across the street.
Yeah.
And he's yanking it.
Yeah, that's what she said.
I don't know. It's all those little things.
Or how about the two Dobermans when he smashes their heads together? He's like, "No, stay."
Yeah, it's like a video game. it's stick around. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the bad ones are that Tom Arnold says.
Well, they all have to do with women.
Get lost, dipshit. Like I love that whole thing when he's like,
oh
yeah,
the
when they're standing on the
Tom's thing. He's got some funny ones where it's just kind of it's not pointed or mean. It's just funny.
Right.
Even the thing toward the end where he's like, I've been in this van for 15 years. Well delivered. Haha. He wants to get out of the van. That's funny. But then he's got a couple that are misogynistic in certain ways that are, the one women, you can't live with them. You can't do something else.
Right.
And I heard that and I rewound it. I was like, he just said that. And then I was like, this is why we can't stream this movie. Stuff like that. Maybe it's not. There's a lot of stuff going on.
I think it has to do with the terrorism thing.
Some real hokey. Well, but you can stream The Siege. You can stream a lot of pre 9/11.
Yeah, but this movie is kind of on point. It's pretty scary how they're able to get nuclear bombs into America through Key West through shipping art. And then the whole, they're using real words like jihad. They're using real words. It's not parody terrorism.
I think you're making Dan's point.
No, he's saying the misogynistic stuff. I'm saying this movie has not come out streamed
movie
because of the terrorism
is
stuff.
A coterie of things that can't be released.
Yeah.
The thing, and you make a good point, because the movie is so tongue-in-cheek, and so silly, to then bring in very realistic depictions of terrorism that could also be construed as
stereotypical,
racist.
Yeah.
Because every character in this movie who is of Persian or Middle Eastern descent is somehow associated with the terrorists.
Although they're kind of
except for Faisal, they put Faisal in, so
right,
you're like,
Faisal
hey, Faisal's on the team. This doesn't count. It's not racist if he's on the team, but it's I think because it's James Cameron, and because it has other things involved, I don't even know that for sure it is the terrorism thing. Because there are just enough movies with terrorism in it depicted in the same manner. Some are less silly, some are way less silly. But there is the thing that I would keep coming back to, and that issue that makes me not be able to dismiss it outright, is when they do the sum of all fears after 9/11 and change the terrorist to a Nazi.
Right.
Because at the time that was less scary. But that's interesting. So I don't know. I don't have enough insight as to what they're thinking in that regard, but I will say when Tom Arnold says that Jamie Lee Curtis has an ass and then I put in my notes a what now?
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, the two.
No, actually, Bill Paxton says that line.
Oh, is that Bill Paxton that says that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who says it. That's when we're not streaming this movie anymore.
But I think Bill Paxton says the can't live with him, can't kill him line.
No. Tom Arnold says that after he finds out she's cheating on him. Well, quote unquote cheating,
Right.
and they have that interaction in the van before they drive away. He says it.
And that's almost worse that it's two characters saying it, because instead of like you excusing it as character development for this one character, now you have a through line where the people in this world speak this way about women.
Well, one's a 10-year-old boy and one is a woman. I think the Bill Paxton character saying that, though, like, I'm glad the Tom Arnold character didn't say it, because the Bill Paxton character comes off as could be a pedophile. He doesn't seem to have any morals whatsoever. So it's like him saying that, he could be speaking from experience. That's how creepy and disgusting he is.
He does have that questionable mustache.
Yeah. So Tom Arnold saying that line, as misogynistic as it is, they established very early that this man is not a good person to be married to, or to he's on like his fourth marriage.
He hits Jamie Lee Curtis in the head with the butt of an MP5. Like, I don't know. This
Yeah, she
movie's
kicks him in the
weird.
nuts first, I believe.
This movie is weird.
I don't know. I
But-
see what you're saying, but I don't think it's
In this kind of stew of controversial things that, if they're not preventing it from streaming and being released as a prestige release, at least contribute to the potential reasons why we're not getting. This is all speculation. We don't know why it's not out there, but the last ingredient in this stew is a couple of the shots at the end of the movie that look like hot garbage. Like, in a movie that has a lot of really good practical effects, you can see we're in
the green screen
94.
stuff.
We are right on the cusp of good composite CGI, but we're not there yet. And one of the shots, as she's being pulled out of a car by the helicopter, looks like a child photoshopped two images on top of one another for a good 2 seconds. And it's like, it's the kind of thing that a normal director would look at and just go, close enough, whatever, it's 2 seconds. But James Cameron is going to look at it and go, oh, let's spend 10 years trying to fix that while I'm also making 2 more Smurf Ferngully movies. And we may never...
I don't know. I'm going to say he's a combination of somebody who's egotistical enough to not want those 2 or 3 shots to go out now. He also might not want the misogynistic stuff in there, and he might not want the terror stuff to come out. So that could, but that still doesn't explain the abyss. So I'm assuming it's probably effects.
It's got to be effects for his primary concern. But man, some of that dialogue is woof. I'm just looking real quick to see release dates, if I can find them, for the DVD versions of this movie, to see if there's like a cutoff. Like a date after which he no longer released this movie.
Yeah.
Like September 12th, 2001 or so.
Have you guys ever seen the movie The Siege?
Yeah.
I haven't.
It deals with this directly, and it's pre 9/11, and it's still everywhere, but it's very serious and realistic. And so it's that thing where it's like, well, we can't make fun of this anymore because it's, and some of the imagery at the end when they're like on a tower and fighting, I can see where, people look at that and go, ooh, we don't really want to put our name on this right now.
Yeah. But that's because it came out then. Is it being held back now? Is the question?
Looks like the last regular Fox release was 2013. And that was in a Dutch release. So
I don't know, because you have like Zero Dark 30, and I know like when Black Hawk Down came out, that was pretty controversial. What was the one with the hijacked boat with Tom Hanks?
Oh yeah,
like
Captain Phillips or something like that.
Yeah, like that shit was happening like right now. It's like
looks like 2012 was the last DVD release in the U.S.
That's the one we probably watched. But
so, I mean that's the thing, right? Like 2012. Well, it looks fine to you, but James Cameron might know what he could have done better, and it may just irk him, or he may just not like the condition of the master. Like, we really are speculating, because like Peter Jackson supposedly is trying to remaster some of his early stuff, and it's taken forever because he's never happy with the way it looks. And like Is he ever going to be happy enough with the way Meet the Feebles looks to give it a 4K UHD release? I hope so.
Speaking
I
of him,
hope
we
so.
need to watch The Frighteners at some point.
Oh, I forget that's him.
Yeah, we need to watch
Yeah.
Frighteners. It's good stuff.
Mm.
Mm.
Jamie Lee Curtis, guys, is in this movie.
Yeah, she is.
And
She's got range.
She's got range.
I have to say, if I had seen this movie in my teens, I think I would have not really fully understood the gravity of her highlight scene in this movie. I think as a 30-something-year-old married person in a different phase of life, I think I understand a lot more why that scene is so appealing. I remember seeing commercials for this when I was like a young, 12, 13-year-old kid, seeing the commercial with her dancing around and thinking like, there's no context in which that's not weird, right? Like, and now as like an older person, I'm just like, oh, this is insanely good. Like,
yeah,
good job, dudes.
I was 1 year out of high school. It
This
was
is
fine.
insanely good.
No,
I think you're right, Dan. It hits different when you're a little older and you're married.
And again, another great scene where Arnold is kind of acting.
Yeah.
Gabe said that to me. He's like, I just don't like Arnold movies. I don't like his acting. And I'm like, like, where do I start? Like, when do you come on the show is how I feel. Like, when do we bring you on and start teaching you? And I told him, I said, I noticed in the beginning you were not invested enough. So you missed all these things. He checking his phone. I said, you weren't invested. So I'm not answering any of your questions. I told him. I said, watch it again when you're ready. When you're ready. Because it's like they don't get it.
Yeah.
And all the things he missed were all there. Like you said, it was all over the place.
Yeah.
It is a 2-hour, 20-minute movie, and I did, in my first viewing, transpose one horrifying quote from one character to another. So, I mean, obviously, maybe you need a second or third viewing to really nail down all the finer points, but
he was missing, like, major plot points.
Like what?
Like, how Paxton's character met Jamie Lee Curtis.
I mean, that's kind
Curtis's
of important.
character.
He should have caught on to that.
It's right there. What was the point of the beginning? What do they do? Like, he's like, what are they? I'm like, they work for the government. They're kind of like Men in Black, but they're counterterrorism.
They're Omega.
They're not.
They're the last line of defense.
I tried to equate it to Marvel. I said they are S.H.I.E.L.D.
They're more secret than the CIA.
Yeah, they're S.H.I.E.L.D. And he's like Nick Fury, Captain America mixed. Like, he's just kind of running shit, and he's the one.
He's also kind of like Clark Kent.
Kind of Clark Kent. I try to explain that too. Like, it's like a Superman, persona where he's one thing here. I said, and he's here, and he's playing two lives, and you really don't see. You don't have the aha moment until Jamie Lee Curtis's character has the. You have it way before she has it, but when she has her aha, you should have already been part of the story. You should have already realized that.
You should have been waiting for that aha for about a half an hour.
Right. So it's like
longer.
That comes from checking your phone, getting some ice cream.
But one last thing before we move on about this dance scene. That
Dan, let's go back to dance.
Here's the thing I want to
scene.
I want to emphasize. I want to emphasize. There's a moment where you as the viewer, you're thinking like, if he would just say something, she's not going to crack his head with that phone twice.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But it hit me as soon as that scene's over that if he does say, like, just come with me on this thought experiment, guys. Arnold on top of Jamie Lee, he kisses her. She starts to freak out. He says, in his Arnold voice, like, honey, I'm Arnold, And I don't do impressions. That's not my That's not my strong point. She says,
it's
hey,
Harry.
Hey, it's me, it's Harry.
It's me, Harry.
Yeah. He says that, and she's just like, oh, that's so great. And then they start doing it, right?
Right.
The timing with which those terrorists bust in to their room, if he doesn't get hit with the phone, they would be like mid-coitus.
Yeah.
That would not.
That would be a different movie.
And you don't get to me, the best part of her character is that she thinks that they're there for her.
The conceit.
And the whole time, the conceit,
that she doesn't know that she's not a spy conscripted in is so good. Like, if the whole movie had that energy, this would be my favorite movie of all time. Because her energy in those scenes where she's trying to convince them to let her husband go because she's the one they want. Oh my God. Like, it's so well orchestrated.
Right.
I wish they could bottle that feeling I got during that one little 10-minute stretch as like, this is the movie I want to see. But I just don't know that you could sustain it for an hour and a half.
I thought there was going to be more of that. I thought it was, well, I wasn't sure what I thought, but I thought it had the potential to be like that movie where I think it's like Angelina Jolie and Brad
Mr.
Pitt.
and Mrs. Robinson or
Smith.
Where they're
Smith.
both spies.
Mr. and Mrs. something.
Smith.
Yeah,
where they're both spies and they're like basically working against each other, but they're married, kind of thing. I never saw that movie, but I know the plot of it. I thought it was going to be more like that. And I, like Dan said, if it could have sustained that longer,
but
it would have been
what's funny
great,
is after that joke,
I don't know if you can.
They could have probably held it for another 10, 15 minutes, but then they kind of changed that joke to him taking the serum, and now he's being honest. Like when she says, "Are they gonna kill me?" and he's like, "Yep." Like, like then that takes you to another part where it's like, okay, it's fine. And then it goes to the crazy Rambo action sequences where it's like
it becomes the Incredibles.
She does drop the gun
at some point. Like,
she drops the gun and it shoots everybody, and she didn't even pull the trigger.
That's so stupid.
And it was just so slapstick.
Hey, but testament to the director as that MAC-10 is rolling down the stairs and self-firing multiple times and killing a whole crowd of guys. It does eventually shoot back at her, and she has to dodge. There's a couple of shots where I was like, oh, it's shooting backwards, and she's not reacting. But they eventually give you a reaction shot of her being like, oh, it's shooting at me too. That was the dumbest thing I've seen in a while, but it was fun.
It was when I got here, the movie was just ending, and I noticed when they do the tango at the very end that she is very in character, and then she messes up, and she does it in a way
she basically falls on her butt.
She falls on her butt when she's doing like a
during
tango
the credits. It's like a far away shot,
and I'm watching. I'm like, I've seen this movie probably 40, 50 times, and I've never noticed that she does that, and I'm wondering that she might be in character doing that, because in the end she's still his wife who doesn't really know what she's doing.
Well, and she falls over during the sexy dance too.
Yes,
that's like part of
she's
it.
Clumsy.
So yeah,
she's
it
like
could be an intentional choice.
Bambi being born.
Yeah.
So her dropping that gun makes sense. It's too ridiculous.
Yeah, she's so nervous and clumsy, and that's just who she is. That's not going to change.
It would have made more sense if it was like she grabbed a gun that was way too big for her and it just threw her back on the kickback or something. But the dropping it and it continuing rolling, I'm like,
But the idea that you could make this giant, just kind of mind-numbed, fun, silly action movie with a good director is an interesting concept that I'm trying to think of one before True Lies that is this scale with this quality of a director. And really, I think the only thing it's missing is 6 or 8 more years of like quality CGI development. And then maybe some of the enhancements that you get once people start editing digitally. There's a couple of things I think you could tighten up, but really, for a dumb movie, this is a really good dumb movie.
Yeah, I think the serious version of this movie would be like Mission Impossible.
Shout out to Brian De Palma.
Yeah, it's like it's the same outlandish video game stuff, but done in a way where you're like, oh yeah, that's completely could happen. Kind of like when you're watching a Star Wars movie, and all of a sudden, like the Solo movie, they do like this train heist, and you're seeing space characters, you're seeing a hovering train, you're seeing all these things that are just not real, and stormtroopers and whatever. But it looks like if it were to happen, this is what it's grounded, as we had that discussion a few shows ago, where it's like it's grounded in their reality, to where you're like, okay, it's not outlandish. They're not like doing stuff like this where he's shooting one gun and it's going through 4 trees and hitting 3 guys. Like it's Mission Impossible is more realistic than this.
I was waiting for him to like shoot a bullet and then shoot that bullet with a bullet, causing that first bullet to split and kill like a whole crowd of dudes.
Yeah.
That actually would be pretty cool. Copyright Dan from the Remedial film class.
He probably could have pulled that off.
Well, didn't Robin Hood do that?
Well, yeah, but I want to see it with bullets, man.
Bullets. Yeah. I don't know.
It's a fun movie. It should be streaming somewhere. Although, it'd be nice if there was transparency from Cameron's camp, just to be like, hey, we are working on it. It's just further down the line because Avatar, or, hey, enjoy your DVD, but like, ooh,
Well, it created a black market for it. Like if I didn't find this DVD at a flea market, I'd be paying like $50 for it. So it's like people are going to get it if they want it.
This is the new segment I propose. Is this movie worth what people are paying on eBay?
I don't know.
If it's $50, it depends on how much you like Jamie Lee Curtis.
I have it on Laserdisc. So
that Spanish Blu-ray that I was making fun of earlier, aside from some hard-coded Spanish subtitles on anytime it shows like English subtitles or English text on the screen, or forced subtitles of like foreign dialogue, other than those moments when there is forced Spanish closed captioning or subtitles, you can turn off all the subtitles. Otherwise, you can put it on English track. Like, it's a fine viewing experience for as little as I paid for it on Amazon, in a world where you might have to overpay for a DVD. But this is not a $50 movie to me.
And they're going from $18 to $40. I'm looking at the sold.
$18 to $40 on Amazon. No, on eBay.
$20. I would spend $20 on this movie.
Is it worth that? I'd say it's worth that.
Especially to have a movie that like nobody else is watching right now, and maybe you could show your friends. Like, you might become the guy who introduces them to True Lies.
I just like to have physical media that's not available anymore.
Yeah.
Just to have it. It's worth the $40 just to have it. How else are you going to get it?
Exactly.
Well, that's why every time I see the Star Wars trilogy on DVD somewhere, I buy it, like a flea market or a yard sale. I buy it and I sell it because people, if they don't have Disney Plus, they have to stream all 3 movies, and it costs like $40.
Right.
And it's like, okay, if you're in the mood to watch it, which if you don't have Disney Plus, you can't get it unless you pay an exorbitant amount of money on some kind of streaming service because Disney owns the rights.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, just
so if you have the DVD,
buy a month of Disney Plus. It's cheaper.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I like my Star Wars to be? A New Hope to Jedi. I'm going to pretend like nothing else ever was produced.
I was seriously concerned that you were going to say, you know how I like my Star Wars? When Community did a 3-part episode on it back in 2010.
No,
that was Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
A bit of personal news, guys. I just going to break this on the show. I have now watched 5 episodes of Community.
Oh, shit.
It is not a bad show. I kind of like it.
Do we do a separate channel for that show and I start watching it too?
Well, I've been watching it with my wife, so it's been spotty. I catch it when she's available. So we stay together, so it would take forever to make a show out of it, but I will tell you, John Oliver, that was a surprise. I like him a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Joel,
I met
Joel
him.
the main guy.
Joel McHale.
I kind of wish that
McHale.
he wasn't on the show.
Why?
I dislike him. Nothing he does is interesting.
You're not supposed to like him.
Okay, because my wife said, yeah, I think he's supposed to be that douchey. And I'm like, yeah, but if he's on the screen, they're taking away time I could be spending with Donald Glover or Abed or, even Alison Brie's character. Like, give me more of them.
Well, see how it progresses, because he's much like a Michael Scott, where, over the course of time he becomes much more endearing.
Well, I will leave a place open for him.
It's like the guy on New Girl.
He never admits it, but he starts to care.
There you go.
Oh,
So-
so he's
So
like
he's Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones
yes,
and Fugitive.
he never admits it, but it's
Uh,
there. Now, have you seen? I have a text from my friend Matt Bengal. He's in my my side chick movie club, and I also got him to watch Community. It was a deal we had. I had to watch True Detective, and then he would watch Community. He just texted me, cast Abed as the next Batman. Dan, do you get that reference yet?
I have not seen him do like a Batman voice yet, but I look
will.
forward to it. I like him a lot. Every now and then I laugh when I think about you being like, well, that's Dan. Sometimes that makes me laugh and not mad.
Well, I mean, Abed's a little, more eccentric than you. But,
That's what you think.
I mean, the idea of viewing things through, the lens of TV and movies, that's actually, I think, Dan Harmon. Like, Dan Harmon writing himself in
Oh yeah,
the show as a character.
it's like the guy on Goldberg's.
Cracks me
Yeah,
up that
exactly.
these early episodes are directed by the Russo brothers.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah?
Because,
yeah?
they've done some stuff
Hmm.
since Community. I don't know if you're aware.
Yeah.
Well, that's why there's a few Community references in a couple of the Avengers movies.
Oh, there you go.
The one guy, he pops up pretty in a funny situation. The guy with glasses and the mustache, the bald guy.
Glasses and a mustache on Community?
Or is he? Oh, he's from Arrested Development. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is the same guys. They had something to do with Arrested Development as well. I believe the Russos.
Okay.
Is that right, Dan?
I never
Dan
watched
and Pat is
Arrested
gonna destroy
Development,
me.
but I don't know that I'm going to check it before I leave this in. So
You
don't
never
get
watched
destroyed.
Arrested Development,
I'm trying
Dan?
to think who
I
the
don't
guy
watch
is,
a lot
but
of TV, dudes. I watch
Oh,
movies.
man.
Movies.
Arrested Development was funny, too. It's a banana. How much could it cost? $10?
I know you guys don't want to do it,
What?
but we really need to cover the Marvel movies because I want to freaking explode about the Thor movie.
Dude, I need to get a bigger interface, and we need to have my friend Matt Bengal on when we do that, because he's a huge Marvel guy, and he's trying. And I keep busting his balls about how boring Marvel movies are.
Even if we do just the up to Phase 3, because what's going on now really is irrelevant to what those 20 movies were. That
20
bracket-
movies.
that bracket
Jesus.
of movies that will never ever be,
I mean, it felt
done-
like
done again.
work to watch 10 Jason movies, and those were 90 minutes each. Like,
I know that's the thing.
the
man.
Marvel commitment time. Like, I still haven't watched the new Bond movie. I've had it for 6 months, and I just look at it like, when am I going to sit still for 3.5 hours or whatever? Like,
Oof.
if anything,
Cool.
as a movie fan, you should really appreciate Kevin Feige's ability to take 4 characters, make separate movies, always leading to a group movie, and then continue that story throughout those characters in other movies in the style of that character, and then come back again and do an Avengers movie with all those fleshed out characters where they don't have to do backstory because you got them in their individual movies.
I call that the Mortal Kombat Annihilation
It's
phase.
It's not the Mortal Kombat Annihilation
I mean,
phase. It's
technically
not,
it is, because you
you're-
don't get
it-
the backstory because you're expected to know it, right?
But you do get the backstory. You do get the backstory even in the movie. It's just not. They don't browbeat you. They kind of give you the plot of the movie is solid, but like I was explaining to you about Bad Boys, there's just certain things about characters that you're gonna miss if you don't watch a certain movie. Like if you watch Avengers without watching Captain America, then you're not gonna know the great background of Steve Rogers. You're just going to see Captain America running around throwing his shield and doing whatever and acting like the greatest soldier ever, but you're going to think it's corny. You're like, oh, this guy's corny. But then you'll understand why he's corny, because that's the character he's the Superman, he's the Clark Kent of the universe, so he's going to be that guy. But he is that guy because he's wholesome.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. Do you
But
know
if you
when,
don't get all that,
do you know when the Marvel movies lost me? I can remember the exact moment.
when the science wasn't right,
At the beginning of Captain America 2,
When
they're
made
on
up
their
a
mission, and you're like,
fake
oh,
disease.
this looks like an army movie, but like that one guy's got a shield. Like this is kind of cool. It's like an action, modern action movie. And then they eliminate the character Crossbones. They're like, hey, it's Crossbones. And he's dead. Like immediately. And I was just
in
like,
what movie was that?
Captain America 2, I believe.
Winter Soldier.
And I was just
I
like,
don't think
but
he wasn't even Crossbones yet.
Crossbones is like the guy that I was looking forward to seeing. And he's gone. What?
That wasn't Captain America 2. He was in that whole movie,
Are you sure?
but
Who's
he wasn't Crossbones yet. He was.
But didn't he get
was-
killed in the opening scene?
That was one of the Avengers movies.
Oh, is that Age of
That was Civil
Ultron?
War. It was the third Captain America movie.
Oh, okay.
Civil War.
Hey, guess what? I can't remember the
spoiled it.
difference between all of them because they all run together because it's the same 5 characters in the same costumes. Ugh, guys. Marvel movies.
I'm so glad I'm not alone.
Maybe you're just in the minority.
Well,
I mean, I think it would make for a great battle. Dan and I versus you and Matt.
my stance against the Marvel movie thing is not from a home of pretension, right? I like some really schlocky stuff. I don't need these movies to be The Godfather parts 1 and 2 only, fuck Godfather part 3. But they still don't do it for me, right? I know a lot of people, even some famous directors keep saying stuff like, oh, it's not cinema, And like whether or not it's cinema is up for debate, but whether I like it, not up for debate. Not for me. Too many movies. They're too long. And I'm just not feeling the connection to the characters a lot of the time.
This coming from the guy that did a 2-part episode connecting 15 movies to The Dark Knight and Shakespeare.
Yeah,
we
no, I mean, that's
invested
the thing.
like 19 hours
We could
into
easily-
explaining Shakespeare.
We could easily go through, oh my God, can you imagine how long the show would be? Like how many episodes it would take to piece together like the forensics of how we got through even just like the first wave of those Marvel movies. Because keep in mind, we did The Dark Knight because it's like the biggest movie of all time and it's really good and it's also Shakespeare. But at the same time, like the reason it had to be in so many pieces is because Dark Knight itself is so referential to Hollywood movies. But then if you tried to like, especially if you wanted to bring in like the comic origin stuff to the Marvel, I mean, that's a 15-year podcast if you want to do it. It's just, that's just not for me. My passions lie behind a different cape.
It would be a good debate.
Speaking of capes, we've all seen The Incredibles, right?
Oh yeah, this
You know
movie
why-
had a
you
lot
know
of
why-
incredible bits.
That should
You
have
know
been
why
a
they
live
don't
action
they
film.
don't put capes on the costumes anymore? I really thought that one terrorist was going to go through the engine of that jet when he was like hanging off the wing.
Oh, see, the second I saw he was hanging on that air-to-air missile, I was like, oh, I know where this
Yeah.
is gonna go.
Yeah. He's gonna-
No, it was
You're
before. It was
fired.
before that. It was when he was like climbing on the back of the thing, like right behind the cockpit. I was like, all he needs to do is like shift a little bit, and he slides down, and goes right into that
Yeah.
engine.
Oh yeah.
Which happens in Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I looked at that airplane scene as a nice little homage reference to Raiders of the Lost Ark. There's a lot of that in this movie.
And that was, I think, the moment when I was like, oh man, this is just like an 80s arcade game boss fight. Like now we're fighting on top of the plane. Like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, and of course that would be the video. Like, if you're referencing video games of the time, that would be your point of reference in 1994. Whereas later action movies we may ever talk about on the show, you're going to see that they might reference different periods in video game development. So what are we watching next week, guys?
We are going to watch Iron Man. Which actually is
It's not the
a
worst
good
one.
standalone movie.
Yeah, it's
it's a
pretty
good
good.
standalone movie. no need to watch 20 movies from that. Although it starts the journey. Anyway, I
Is
guess
that the first Marvel movie?
it's the first one made in
Iron Man?
in that.
It's the first Marvel, MCU movie.
Was Marvel always like owned by Disney or?
No, they
Disney
bought them in
acquired them at some point?
2009. So yeah, I guess that was like Marvel Entertainment standalone.
Yeah, it was just a Marvel Entertainment.
That's cool.
And that's why the post-credit scene was such a big deal, because that's when people were like, "Wait, this could be huge," and then it was just wishful thinking. It's kind of like when Ryan Reynolds made a homemade version of Deadpool and then leaked it to the internet as footage because he wanted them to make the movie.
Yeah,
it was kind of like that, where like we can really do something here because Sony's really screwing things up with Spider-Man.
Word.
I guess. Are we doing?
So, George, we'll be watching a movie.
Okay.
I know that surprises you after all the community talk we've done on Remedial Community Podcast, but
I'm so glad you guys are watching.
it's not bad. It's fine. I'm waiting for Joel McHale to grow on me, but it's a journey, guys.
He will, don't worry.
In a crowd where I like everybody else on that show.
You're not supposed to like Jeff Winger right away.
Well, that's good.
Winger.
So, George, we are going to watch a movie.
Okay.
And I'm interested to hear what your initial reaction is when I tell you what we're watching.
Okay.
We're watching a movie called Bad Boys 2.
Trench coats and machine guns.
Trench coats and machine guns. Okay.
Just kidding.
Does anything stand out to you as odd that you're watching Bad Boys 2 next?
Well, I mean, it's odd that we haven't watched Bad Boys 1, I guess.
Is it? We'll see.
I don't know, is it?
We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to watch Bad Boys 2.
Yes.
Travis is reticent,
I'm apprehensive.
I think. Yeah.
Yes, I'm a little hesitant.
We're doing science here, boys. We're doing science.
This is a fun experiment.
We're doing science.
I've never watched a sequel before I watched the original. I've never done that ever in 47 years.
Oh, I'm sure you've seen some random part 6 something on TV and been like, oh, okay, I'll watch this, and never went back and watched the first one, or immediately went back and watched the first one.
So I guess this is Dan's idea to start with number 2.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I understand why, but I haven't seen Bad Boys 2 in a long time, so I don't know if you're going to miss anything in the character development of 1 or if they rehash anything. So I'm going to go home and watch it and see. And then I will text Dan and be like, okay, I get it.
Or he'll do his usual weekly. I think we need to change movies now.
I was going to say, he hasn't done that in a few weeks now. So,
hey, it's Dan in Post, and I'm editing this episode a couple hours before we record Bad Boys 2, and I just got the text from Travis saying, oh, it's going to be a shit show. And listen, he may not be wrong, but it'll still be science. Tune in next week. Yeah, there was no audible request on True Lies. I think we were confident that True Lies was
Although I was a
gonna
little
work.
nervous when he was being very short with us with his text, like, be done at 10, be here sharp. I was getting
no, that's just because I got
because you're tired.
Yeah.
He's
But I
just a
didn't know that.
hard-working man
I'm thinking,
now.
man, that's usually his tone when he's tried to turn it off twice. That was his Wild Things tone.
No, my Wild Things tone was, come over whenever. I'll stop watching as soon as you get
exactly
here.
what you
Like,
said.
Sooner
Whenever
the better.
you come over, I'm turning it off. So come over as soon as you can.
So good.
That's how I knew. I'm like, maybe I don't go over. He still hasn't finished watching it.
Yes, I did.
You're going to be doing that over summer school.
So funny.
I love how when I finally watch the end of it, and I'm like, all right, guys, explain to me why I had to watch the end. You're like, you just need to finish
the assignment.
Yeah, it's important to finish the movie, Spicoli.
Or you'll get an incomplete.
Yeah, Spicoli.
Doesn't it make it our time?
I watched that last night again.
I do not hear you unless you knock.
It's a good movie.
So good, man.
He's watched it 4 more times since I left it here, so I'm going to check to see where it skips.
Yeah,
Probably
exactly. He's burned a hole right through a couple of
Burn a
scenes.
hole right at the pool scene.
No, stop.
Yeah, oddly enough, it's not the Phoebe Cates parts. It's just the Judge Reinhold. It keeps skipping.
It's Damone in his socks. I don't understand it.
Did you guys
This
watch?
is great iced tea, Stace.
Hey, in the version that you guys watched, did you see Damone's dick?
I know that it's in the
Because it's in the Criterion
unedited.
one,
Yeah,
and
it's
I
in the
forgot
Criterion
that
version.
wasn't in the original one. And then I was watching special features, and they were like, "Oh yeah, Criterion, put it back in." And I was like, "Oh, I bet George didn't even see the guy's dick."
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Well, yeah.
Although I was in Home Depot yesterday, and there's like
And you saw
someone that,
Kevin Bacon's
no,
dick
there's
in
someone
Home
that
Depot.
works there that looks just like Damone.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, he looks so much like him that I was about to like sneak a little video of him so I could
Oh,
show you
great.
guys. He looks so
Did he come up to him? He's like, the lady will have a linguine and clam sauce.
just
and
like
a
the
Coke with no
just like
ice.
the way he walks, the way he looks, like his hair. It's just like, oh my gosh, you belong in
Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
Ridgemont
The
High.
mama's all right.
Anyway,
Was
I
he
just-
selling tickets?
huh?
Was he selling
He
cheap
looked like he
tickets?
might be. I don't know.
Interesting.
Next time, get a selfie with that guy. Just
know,
act
it's
like
just
you know
weird.
him. Be like, "Hey man, can I get a selfie with you?" Boom.
Hey, Damone, it's
You
Rat.
look like the guy from Fast Times. Anyone ever tell you you look like the guy from Fast Times?
Oh,
No?
man.
Can
Yeah,
I get a picture with you?
The guy
No?
with the
Okay.
the 40 second
The prick. You know
yeah.
the prick?
little prick. Yeah,
The little prick guy.
Little prick guy.
drives a gremlin.
Ay,
That'd go over well.